Welcome to Little Brook Soapery. Today we're making the soap called Mr.Gray. So we're going to start by straining my lye solution into my oils. They're all at the right temperature and ready to be mixed. And the fragrance oil I'm using today is from Candor Soap Supply. It's called 50 Shades. Just getting a little blending in. I'm going to add titanium dioxide to whiten the soap a little bit. I always like to add that in. It just helps the color a little more, I find, when I like to add my colors. So we're mixing now until just past emulsion. The longer I mix, the thicker the trace becomes and the harder the soap begins to work. So I just try to keep it as thin of a batter as I can. I'm actually making two different batches with this soap. So for the gray, I have to weigh how much soap batter I need because the other type of soap I made out of this was a coffee soap. So I'm just weighing 42 ounces out because that's the size of the mold I'm making Mr. Gray with. And there's the Candor Soap Oil 50 Shades. That's the fragrance oil, and it smells like it's a very masculine, nice smell. I really do like it. And everyone I've had that has come in to smell it has told me it's a really nice scent. My husband wants it. He said that he would like all of his personal soap made with this fragrance. So now I'm just mixing, and that discoloration that the oil caused, it won't last. It will be usually fragrance oil discoloration. Sometimes it makes the soap really dark and sometimes it goes away. But I'm coloring this with different shades of gray so it all swirls together. So the yellowy color actually won't show through in the soap. You can't really tell by looking at it from the camera because it still has that greeny kind of look, but as it cures, that greenish yellow color will come out and the gray will be what's left. Some people call that a paranormal color morph, when the turns one color while it's still wet and then it changes to another color after it cures. It's kind of cool to watch it happen. So I have two more types of gray color that I mixed up that I would like to add to my soap. Looking for a really nice different shades of gray swirl effect. This gray came through a little better. The batter stayed really liquid. I'm really pleased with that because sometimes fragrance oils can speed up trace as well and make the batter go really thick. But for a nice swirl, you would like your batter to be as runny as possible. So the fact that this fragrance oil didn't make it thicken up was really nice, because I've had fragrance oil turn it to almost, they call it soap on a stick. So as soon as I started mixing, like 15 seconds in, the whole soap batter seized and turned hard. I was devastated. Lavender oil doesn't always work well, and that's the oil I was using, so this one turned out really nice. And I have to keep adding my charcoal because I want a nice darker gray, and it was a little harder to achieve. You can see that it's definitely coming now though. So I'm just mixing now, trying to make sure I have all of the charcoal incorporated. And I'm pouring the darker gray at the other end. I'm going to use a stick to swirl and make a design. You can see there are 3 different colors in there. It's hard to tell with my camera because it's terrible quality for now. But there are 3 different colors of gray in there. And I'm just going to take a little skewer stick and I'm going to swirl it to give a nice design in the inside in the middle of the bar. This fragrance oil worked lovely. It was so liquidy and so smooth to work with that I didn't have to worry about it accelerating trace. So now what I'm working on is the topping. I wasn't really sure at this point if I was going to do a piping bag or just dollop it on like whipped cream, but what I was looking for was a nice shaving cream, whipped cream kind of consistency. And I actually don't have any scent in my topping. It's a scent-free soap top because I'm also splitting this up between my two different bars. So I'm just using my stick blender to blend it and make it speed up and trace, so it's going to thicken up a lot faster using the stick blender. And even with the stick blender, it took a while. It was a very liquidy recipe, and I added the extra titanium dioxide to make it a nice, really vibrant white. I wanted a nice, clean, strong white. I didn't want it to be yellowy, which when you work with like olive oils and shea butters, they all have a yellowy tinge, greeny tinge. So adding titanium dioxide is a good way to achieve your nice pure white. And I did not realize that titanium dioxide is a food additive. I was eating candy with my best friend the other day, and I was reading the list of ingredients, and sure enough, titanium dioxide was listed in the ingredients, as were a couple of other ingredients I use in my soap. So it was kind of funny to be eating these candies and like, hey, this is a few ingredients short of my soap. I'm just cleaning my blender off now and checking the consistency using my spatula, scraping it to the sides, trying to see if it's set up at all since I've stick blended, and it's really not come very far. It's still quite liquidy. So as some time passed, I let it set up as much as I could, but it was still so liquid. So I put it in the piping bag, but I wasn't really expecting much of a form to hold. I was expecting it to still be quite liquidy and just kind of pour out. But I was happy with it. It was thick enough that it felt like a shaving cream, whipped cream consistency. I could have dolloped it on with a spoon, but I do like working with the piping bag even when it's so liquidy. Just lets me control it better without having to use a spoon to smooth it out and try to make it to all the corners. The piping bag kind of worked better. So now I tap it down to spread it out and get rid of the bubbles, and doing a little bit of cleanup. I will take a spoon to give it some texture on the top. I did decide on doing a little bit of texture because I do quite enjoy the look of a soap with texture. I'm not sure if I could ever do just a flat top soap. I've got to tinker and pick at things. So I'm just working it all to the middle, trying to get a peak in the center. I'll just squeeze out the last little bit that I can out of that bag. I try not to waste any of the soap. I try to get every single drop I can. And then work a little more with the spoon. Like I said, sometimes I'm the type of person who will tinker and pick and work at something until I ruin it, and then I get frustrated with myself, but I can't help it. I always think just a little more, but not too much. And then I do too much, and then I'm kicking myself in the butt. So here's the finished product coming up. I was quite pleased with the swirl inside of it and the topping. This was before I cleaned them up, obviously, but I'm really, really happy. And thank you for joining me again for another video.